This is Podcast Unlocked, as you audio listeners already know, but if you're tuning into our video segment, hello. Naomi Kyle right there, Ryan McCaffrey talking, Mitch Dyer, sharply dressed, Brian Altano also sharply dressed.
Brian always looks good.
Ryan.
You're
Naomi trashing it up in the corner.
I sort of am. I mean, my mix and match thing is just...
You can pull that off. If I came in here with a tank top, people would be like, what pizza restaurant did you get fired from?
Did you sleep in a bed last night or a park?
And oh my God. If I came in here with Batman pajama pants and a tank top, people would be like, what happened?
Yeah. It would not fly over here.
You feel like kick you out?
I would look like I hadn't paid rent in a few months.
Yep.
See, there's a problem in this country.
double standard?
Double
Yeah.
standard.
But I will pay you if you do it. If you if you brave the waters of walking around in
So I can
Batman's
technically say
tights, I will pay you.
I could technically say I was employed then.
Yes.
All right.
This is a good freelance gig.
Naomi has decreed tomorrow to be pajama day at IGN. Let's make it happen.
Serious me being right now.
Can you wear black V-necks and black jeans and just never shave?
Yes,
What are we
I can
talking
do that,
about?
Ryan.
Oh,
I can
yes,
do that.
the NPDs.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The
Yay,
sales numbers
stats.
for the industry came out late last week, after last week's whatever the hell it was you guys did show, Mitch. And what happened in the NPDs?
So we found out the MPD day that Sony has sold 7 million PS4s, which is awesome. That's like a huge number this early in the cycle.
Worldwide.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter. It's still, the money still goes into their pocket.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Microsoft has shipped 5 million. The difference there is sold is like Naomi bought one at a store.
Took it home. Yeah.
Shipped is the GameStop that she went to has it.
But if they don't sell it, they could send it back to Microsoft, and Microsoft doesn't get any money.
Exactly.
Right.
Many of those are obviously sold. Like
Yeah, definitely.
Microsoft has said, I think last quarter or month, whenever it was, they said they had sold like 3.9 million. So basically, like they've sold 4 million by this point, but not quite 5.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and so in March, though, this was the NPD, so the sales figures for March, the month of Titanfall. This is when it was all going to happen.
Yep.
We saw the bundle hit with, hey, free Titanfall with your Xbox One purchase. We saw some retailers do a pseudo price cut for $50, which we, of course, on this show speculated was, encouraged by Microsoft.
Yeah.
Like, well, the price, it's not officially $450, but you guys can say it is. And still, it did not outsell the PlayStation 4 in the month of March.
Titanfall was the highest selling piece of software, though.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
And deserved. Great game.
Totally awesome.
But yeah, I mean, does Microsoft, how long, basically, I want to ask you guys, how long does Microsoft wait until they have to make some kind of definitive,
like a radical decision
about something?
Yeah, whether it's price or Kinect or something.
Something
when does something have to give?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, right now with the launch, I mean, I'm going into the next story here, but I mean, they just announced that Japan is getting Xbox One, so that could be a changing factor for numbers-wise, at least.
4 more units.
Numbers-wise,
yes.
Yeah.
It's a baby number.
It is.
It's a single digit.
I'm actually that's actually going to be one of the more fascinating console launches in the history of the industry.
Yeah.
No, it isn't.
The Xbox One in Japan.
Oh,
no,
I think it's
fascinating
gonna be,
in that.
And like, so how's this going to go?
No, I know.
Yes,
Yeah.
like incredibly interesting to me because I don't really think there's going to be a huge I think if you're in Japan and you buy an Xbox One, like you're
A minority.
you're
a weirdo.
you're
rare.
very different.
A rare
That was
gem.
like
a rare gem.
that was like me in 1994 being the guy that bought an Atari Jaguar. Like,
Totally.
Your friends are like,
Today, it's
What?
like, you bought an
You
Amazon
did
Fire
what?
TV?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I did.
But I think it's kind of interesting to see even the terminology that these guys use every single month because it changes every single month.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
When a
depending
company's
who
on
wins.
top,
What makes us look best?
well, because it's almost amazing because some of it's damage control and some of it's bragging. But a couple years ago, Sony never used the word sold. Ever. It was always shipped. It was always like, well, we've shipped.
Right.
Or they'd go, the PlayStation family.
Yeah.
Which is sort of like
Yeah.
when you run into somebody and you're like, hey, how are your kids doing? You're like, well, one of them's in jail. But the other one got into college. It's great.
family's
family's
great.
doing amazing. Man, those Altanos are wonderful. So it's interesting to see that. And Microsoft is actually using that terminology now. They were talking about the Xbox family. The Xbox 360 is still doing very well. And on the other side, Sony's not saying that. They don't care about. One of their family members is basically he's going to jail for a long time, right? Like there was 11,000 Vitas or something.
Uncle Jailbird Joey from Back to the Future.
Exactly. And every month they have to do this, and Nintendo does this thing where they're like, we're up 72% year over year. And you're like, but wait a minute, last year you sold nothing with your Wii U. But we're up. Or, last year our 3DS sales doubled the 2DS of the 1DS. And you're like, but what about the Wii U? Have a good night, everyone. Goodbye. So it's very interesting to see the way all that happens. And like I think as we've all learned, it's a long road for all of these things.
It is.
So I mean, we've seen tides turn so many times, and it's actually fascinating to watch because there were years where the PS3 wasn't selling well at all.
Oh yeah,
at all.
Well, and remember, how everyone can't forget $599 US dollars.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
that console ended up being the top-selling console in the end. By that much, but in the end,
because Japan and Europe loved it.
Yeah,
but it took time.
That being said, I think we're in an interesting situation where these two things are very neck and neck, but one of them, the PS4, has decidedly more momentum behind it. And it's just every time you look at IGN, there's something else is announced for PS4, and it's not always like giant games, right?
Sure. But it's like, I would play that.
Yeah, little things start to add up. And when I turn on my PS4 every month and they're like, hey, here's a free game, or like, hey, here's this new stuff on PSN, I don't really feel that with the Xbox One yet. So I think there's little things they need to do to kind of remind people. I think that they pushed hard on the TV stuff, and I don't know how many people are using it. They pushed hard on the Kinect stuff. There's not really a big example to really integrate that stuff in everything you're using it. At the end of the day, like so many years have gone by. We've waved our hands in front of the TVs. We've used voice controls. It all ends with us just holding a controller and playing good games. And that's
it is
really
true.
What
I mean, they know when it's. They have not once released a stat of Xbox users are watching 6 billion hours of TV on their Xbox One.
3 million Xbox One users use motion controls for whatever.
Right,
they track that stuff.
There's
and probably nobody doing
the
it.
Thing, of course, the internet is quick to already say, well, console war is over.
Yeah.
Sony won. It's done. But, it really is a long game. However, when we're at the point now, it's early, these consoles are going to sell 10 times what they've already sold by the end. But there's a point where if the PS4 gets out ahead enough and just hangs on to that mind share you're talking about, Brian, then, developers will go that way.
Yeah.
And it will snowball out of, to a point where the Xbox One will be a distant second console if they don't sort of do something soon to, they got to cut the cancer out now.
I totally agree.
They started Don Matrix gone. That cancer is
wow.
It's Zynga now.
Sure, yeah.
No, I'm kidding. He's I'm sure a smart businessman that makes 6 million times more than I do.
Correct.
So, he's clearly doing
and
something
he's made
right.
entirely of cancer.
Oh,
everyone says oh to me. You said it. I didn't do anything.
You put it in perspective, Brian.
You made it
he
too
has
real.
cancer is different than he is cancer.
All right. No, you're totally right.
Yeah.
Except for the cancer thing.
The thing is, Phil Spencer, both to IGN and on Twitter, Phil Spencer, the new head of Xbox, has said, we are in this to win. Yeah. So, I feel like if Phil is as serious about winning and beating Sony as he says he is, I do feel like they've got to do something soon. Like, by E3 or bust, because if another E3 comes and goes and Sony's momentum fills an entire calendar year, they're going to risk that, just that momentum snowballing out of control. So whether it's, dropping Kinect, which would be they would definitely have a lot of egg on their face to own up to
big time.
To walk away from Kinect. Or, I mean, the thing is, we're pretty sure that both Sony and Microsoft, contrary to every previous console generation, are actually making a couple of bucks off of each piece of hardware this time. They're not taking losses, which console makers always have. So Microsoft is a big company. Do they say, in the interests of the long-term 10-year picture, do they say, okay, well, we need to eat some money here and take a loss on the Xbox One and sell it with Kinect for $399 until we can get our manufacturing costs down, or else we need to take the short-term hit in order to go for the long-term thing here.
Yeah. So that's all. I totally agree with that. I am worried though that just the price drop's not going to be enough for them right now. Like, because when you buy into a console, you're buying into the next
ecosystem.
5 years. An ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm fully confident that at E3 they're going to come out and they're not going to talk about television. They're not going to. You said the word drop Kinect. I don't think they're going to drop Kinect. I think they'll just do a thing where they're just like, oh, we don't really talk about that anymore. Like it just sort of like becomes like, oh. You
do bring up. I mean, that's true. Like Titanfall, no Kinect.
Yep.
And what I think Halo 4 didn't do anything. Granted, that was on the first Xbox.
Sure.
Didn't do anything with Kinect. It'll be very telling to see if the first-party lineup, the big first-party games, do anything with Kinect.
Well, like this is the weird thing, right? And I'm a huge Nintendo fan, so I see this happen every generation. Is they go, check out this thing. We have this brand new 3D dual screen system. And you're like, cool. Most people play with the slider down to 2D, and most people never look at the bottom screen. Great. Check out our new console. It's got motion controls, and it's like, cool. Most of the motion controls don't even get used for the major games. Mario Kart,
True.
Smash Brothers, most people play those with traditional controls. Check out the Wii U. It's got this gamepad that you can, cool, no one ever uses it. They only use off-screen mode. It mostly says pause down there. Kinect, I think, is the same thing. We're going to reach a point where they're just like, you can use it for, like, Xbox record that and stuff.
Yeah.
But in terms of, like, making me put the controller down so I can be like, hey, Titanfalls, come on in. All the Titans are here. And they're like, then I wave my hands. They're not going to do that. I think they realize that they're still sort of chasing that blue ocean that everyone was talking about a few years ago.
Oh, dear.
And I think Sony just proved that.
Are you a marketing guy? Get out of here.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I think Sony just proved that no one cares about the blue ocean. You can sell 7 million consoles to the hardcore gamers without giving a shit about the blue
That's
ocean
true.
at all.
That is true.
So that's what they need to be worried about. And you can sell 7 million consoles without really having any major games aside from like, Infamous was a fun weekend for me.
On the promise of on promise, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, neither of the big two right now have something that's really, and even Nintendo, they have like, there's Mario Kart, there's Smash Brothers in winter. Sony's got Uncharted. Who knows? Everyone keeps leaving.
Everyone keeps leaving that project.
And then they have
Infamous,
which just came out. Drive
Good
Club,
game.
maybe.
Do they?
Do they?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll shit out another Killzone. Like people, like they're buying these things on a promise right now.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. E3 is going to be all about the games for Microsoft. They're going to come out.
For sure. They need to bring in some big titles.
But see, that's where I'm a little disagreeing. I mean, of course they need the games, but I just think at the end of the day, the roles have reversed. They are the $499 US.
Yeah.
And that $100, no matter how good the software lineup is. I know people bring up, people mindlessly buy any Apple device and it's more expensive. Well, this isn't the smartphone, tablet industry.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't something you take with you and use for everything you do in your daily life.
Yeah. This is it's not an apples to apples comparison. And, not even
Get
on
it?
purpose. Not even on purpose.
Perfect.
But yeah, I just feel like, because last generation, the 360 generation, Microsoft only cut the price of the system a couple times.
Yeah.
In 8 years, what they would do is they redesigned it. They would continually up the hard drive capacity.
They'd throw a couple games in the box.
Bundles and value adds was what they did to make you think that you were getting more with the console. And you were. But I just think, and where it was Sony had to put their face into the pie voluntarily and lower the price of the PS3. I think just the roles are reversed. I mean, Microsoft they've got to get down to $399 to parity with Sony.
Yeah.
No matter what games they have, they can't, they bundled Titanfall and they cut it $50 temporarily at a few stores maybe, but I just think that bundles and value adds aren't going to cut it because they have the higher priced console this generation.
Yeah.
If they hopefully
And that's what hurt them. I think.
That's the thing. Hopefully, Phil Spencer and those guys are smart enough to see that, we only got away with the bundle value add thing last time because our console was already cheaper than the other guy. Now we're not, so we got to get our price down ASAP.
Totally. And they have to wash away. They still have to sort of wash away all the negative stigma from last year. Like, I mean, I was sitting there a year ago going, this used game thing and this it's a big deal to a small group of people.
True.
And I don't think outside of the really hardcore this is going to mean anything. But that stuff kind of that stench kind of stuck. It kind of permeated with them.
Because it it stuck with the influencers, guys like people like our listeners and us who tell 12 of their friends each, and it just
trickles down.
Yeah,
and then
like this year's version of that and last fall's version of that was, both these games are coming to the same console. One of them is in 720p. One of them is in
big thing that's still actually going right now.
You're still hearing all that stuff.
Everything is about the frame rate issues and the resolution.
Well, and if you can get a better looking, better performing game that is available on a cheaper
$100
platform,
cheaper console,
hell yes, you're buying a PlayStation 4.
Yep, and I used to think that this race was really determined by like the Call of Duty guys and the guys that would go with Microsoft no matter what because that's where their friends are. But then I remember like what we've learned since the dawn of time in the video game industry is that there is no allegiance when it comes
to
the
money.
Yeah, you go wherever your friends are and wherever wherever you want to bring them. So I mean, I grew up playing Nintendo games, and then I jumped ship to Sony, and then I went back to Nintendo, and then I got every console. And there's a month where I'm like, I love my Xbox One more than anything in the world, and I stop playing it, and then I go hang out with my PS4 for a little while.
Sorry, fiance.
I'm a huge slut. What can I say? I mean, I love playing games everywhere, so I think that like. I used to worry that, all the Xbox guys are only going to stick to this and Sony guys are going to stick to this. That didn't happen. So
that's the crazy thing about the console war. It's cool to like multiple things.
Yeah.
You're allowed to enjoy things that are not one subject.
But I just think to circle it back, what these NPDs for March are illustrating, I just think if Microsoft, it's got to be $399 or bust by E3, or else they risk an inescapable second place.
Yeah,
I know it's early, but just all these things will get out of their control if they don't do something real quick.
They need the $399. They need the downplaying Kinect. They need the
better system overall, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Like I think they need something to match PlayStation Plus.
Even at $399, they still have it's not only perception is reality, but in this case it's actually reality. They have the less powerful console.
Yep.
So even at $399, it's okay. Well, it's the same price, but not as powerful as the other guy.
Yeah.
But that's the case where if they can at least get to price parity, it's we may not quite be as powerful as the other guy, but we have way better games than they do. Here they are. See them, and then you get everybody.
Yeah,
to jump on board.
That's the second thing is that usually power doesn't mean shit.
Right. The PS2.
The Wii.
Oh, man.
The Wii.
Yeah, seriously.
The Wii outsold everything, and it was like, this thing looks like garbage for the most part. Like, most of the games did not look good on an HD TV on a Wii, and,
So we'll see. This is Podcast Unlocked. Please join us for the full audio version each and every week. New episodes every Wednesday right here on IGN. And for those of you on audio, we'll just go right on to the next story.